Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be going through the AFL fantasy trade targets for round 9, going through the lowest break-even players, the rookies, and seeing who is the obvious choices, and then going through the primos, the most traded in, most traded out, and giving my thoughts on that. So anyway, before we jump into this video, remember to like and subscribe, turn the notification bell on so you know when I upload, and let's get into this video. So Hugh Boxall is, I would think, the obvious rookie to select with a -7 break even. Yeah, he just is the only real rookie that has, I would think, some sort of job security that has a below 5 break even. If we look at the other guys here, Will Lorenz is probably the next closest, and then even Hardiman at 334k, who could be a decent idea. But Boxall is probably the only one that I really look at and go, yep, he's a guy that you should really be looking at and picking up, because none of these guys, like Boyd hasn't played in forever. Oscar McDonald hasn't played since Luke Jackson went down. Sandy Brock hasn't played in like 4 weeks now, is it? Yeah, hasn't played in 3 weeks. Lucas Camparelli is somewhere around the same. He hasn't played since round 2, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then so you have all these guys, sort of this Harry Boyd to Lucas Camparelli set doesn't really matter at all. They're not going to play, I don't think. Will Lorenz is probably the next rookie, and he is at a 9 break even, and I think you can just wait on him. He scored a 49. That's not going to be game breaking. If he scores another 40 or 50 score, he'll go up to 280, 290k, and that's when you can pick him up at 290k with probably about a 0 break even. That's when you can pick him up for the bench. Joe Fonte is another interesting one. Scored a 70, but is increased price at the starting price of 322. So that's why I would be staying clear of him, as he's still got an 11 break even and could be out of the side soon enough. And then Finbar Malloy, probably the last relevant guy that I think has decent job security. Scored a 43, is a ruckman, is a ruck forward, and is a key forward, I should say. And it's just not going to, I think, impact the scoring enough to be relevant. So that's why I would stay clear of him, even though he did gain 17k with the 43 and probably is going to score 40s and gain 20, 25k a week, but it's just going to be a slow burn. And then Ollie Wiltshire, I think, is already injured after 2 games and a 40 in the most recent week after a 29 off both benches, both sub games, 29 and then a 40. So he is not a good pickup either. So that's all that. Then we get straight into the coach's choice, and this one will be interesting to see. Obviously, Hugh Boxall is the obvious one to bring in, and I think that's what everyone's going to be doing. 17k trade-ins, I will be joining on that. Yeah, he's just obvious this week. So yeah, I will be in the trade-in camp there. Christian Petrarca, yeah, understand this as well. He's shown back-to-back weeks of, 4 good weeks of form, and especially as a forward, you can now buy in. I think he's now at 964k, 73 break-even, so I think it's going to start to get away from you. Gain 45k. I think the same can be said what I said last week about getting away from you. If you don't grab him in these next 2 weeks, he's almost going to be too expensive for the output he's going to give up. So yeah. And yeah, so he's going to be a guy that you grab on now and you hold through, or else you don't grab him on and then you have to wait 5-6 weeks until he becomes value again, because there's no point picking up a guy priced at, say, 1 million or close enough to it. If he scores 100, he's going to be at probably 995. There's no point grabbing up a guy priced at 995 who's going to produce probably 105, 110s, whereas you can get up a guy in the midfield or something like that who could probably produce 110s, 115s for around about the same price, if not less. Max Gawn, understand this one as well. People just wanting to go to him. However, I will say he did come up against arguably the 3 easiest ruck matchups, the four of the easiest ruck matchups you will see. You had Draper go down, so that meant he had, it was Nick Bryan that went down, so it was solo Draper, I believe. Then he came up against Darcy in like his first game back, which was obviously he was going to towel him up. Then he came up against Nankervis, who is leaking points these days. And then he came up against Matt Flynn, who West Coast are just the worst the best ruck matchup, for points given up. if I phrase that correctly. So yeah, I don't know, even though Gawn's a 70 break even and it looks like he's back in form, if he's actually the best option to go to. I'll say that, even though he's got a 70 break even, he's back in form because he comes up against Hawthorn. Now, if we go to the Hawks DFS score, and then we go to their scoring here, and the defense first position, is it? I think it is. And then we go to RUCK, where are Hawthorn? Hawthorn are, in the last 10 games, a plus 1.33. And then in the last 5 games, Hawthorn are a minus 1.15. So let's just call that even. So let's just call that he's going to go at or around his average or price point or whatever you want to call it. Nankervis went 81, Matt Flynn went 94, Reece Stanley went 62, and Jordan Sweet went 93. So I'm expecting like a 110 from Max Gawn. But if we then dip out of this and we go and we quickly look at Max Gawn's run of games, we go season-long DVP, and then we go to RUCK matchup, and then we go, let's just look at the next sort of until the buys end. Let's look at average. Then we go to Melbourne. Melbourne have, where are they? A minus 3.35 RUCK matchup for the next 6 to 8 weeks. They've got Hawthorn, Brisbane. Sydney's is a neutral at the moment. It's been very, very up and down, depending on which Grundy turns up, I won't lie. And if it's a Peter Adams that plays, it usually is actually deep red. And then you've got St Kilda, Collingwood, Port, and then Gold Coast. Gold Coast is deep red. Port Adelaide could be interesting with the likes of a potential Jordan Sweet drop to the 2s. We need to monitor that for Vicentini. So that is a potential monitor there, as that was brought up. But yeah, Melbourne could be interesting this week, I will say, in terms of their RUCK matchups going forward, because if he doesn't score well against Lloyd Meek, or scores just a blank 100, I think his price is just going to come not rocketing down, but it's going to come down dramatically in the next couple of weeks. Just looking at the price projected, just because he's so high, and that's just natural how it fluctuates like that. Like if we go to Gawn here and we say he's going to go 100 or 105 and then say a 110, he goes up 23k, down 1k, down 13k, and then it starts to really hit. And if we decrease this to even just, if we say he's going to go a flat 100, suddenly he goes up 23k, down 5k, down 23k, and he starts this downward spiral. So it'll be very, very interesting. And he does have Brisbane in round 10, which could be even worse. Where if he goes, say, even a 95 against Brisbane or something, he could easily chunk this down even further. And so yeah, I know Gawn's leading the comp, but I would just be very, very worried about him in this point in time, because there's just potential for him to go back to what he was doing at the start of the year, where he did have a 63, an 84, and a 95. If he pulls up any of those games, then I'd be worried. Will Lorenz, one of the second best rookie to trade in, but still I wouldn't be trading him in. Lewis Haynes is a wait. He's a key defender for a reason. We saw what happened with Buzzlinger. Do not trade him in. I know he's debuting, but do not trade him in. Isaac Rankin, another obvious trade in. I feel like he's going to be a top 3 or 4 forward, and yeah, he'll be a top 30 player in general. So yeah, he's just a trade in. Harry Sheezel, I think if his halfback role sticks, which it should, because he's a lot more impactful there than he was in the midfield for a couple of weeks, then it should help him out, but we'll just see how that goes. Henry Huswaite as well, I think it's an interesting one. If this 31 break even was like 10 or 15, I think he would definitely be a lot more traded in. I just think if he has one bad game at his price point, it's almost an automatic trade out. And I know I said that with Long and other guys. I just worry that he's going to be the one that fails. We saw it with sort of Humphreys to a certain extent, I believe, as well. So yeah, I just don't like these sort of guys at this point in the season. Fonte, Bont, Maley, Warner, I understand as well, a cheaper sort of guy that could potentially go nuts. But then again, he's averaging 85 for the year and pulled up a best on ground 83, which just shows you, I think, that he's more of an impact over quantity of disposal type of guy, or quantity of possessions, marks, tackles, etc. He doesn't put the numbers up, but he has a massive impact. Tristan Cherry, another guy that you could potentially look at going to over like a TDK. He has Brisbane this week, which is a negative matchup. I don't know what he's gone against Brisbane in the past. He averages 61, but that could be massively affected. So I'm just going to go to and try and find the North Melbourne side, as they have Richmond next week. You pretty much need to go to a Cherry almost next week, it feels like. So in this week or next week. So yeah, I'm just going to look at Tristan Cherry. Oh, they've updated this. Sweet. So if I go to against Brisbane here, he went 102 against Brisbane last time out, and 81 against them the time before that. If we go to this one here, does it have his actual stats, like his breakdown of his, oh wait, here we go, toggle quarter by corner. Oh, that's actually interesting. Interesting. So it's got quarter by quarter super coach splits. This is amazing. And then we go, can I give you the Brisbane matchup? Let's just see if I can give, what do they, is it 1 second here? it's that. Okay, so his last time out against Brisbane, he went 115 Supercoach and a 102 fantasy points. He had, 88% ruck contest, and yeah, a pretty good game from him in general. So is he going to go well? And I just want to see the other game against Brisbane. He had 66% ruck time, which is still a majority ruck time. And he had only a, where is it here? He only had a 79. So he's averaging 90 against Brisbane in the 2 games that he's had against them. So that'll be interesting to see how he does go against Brisbane this time out. I'm expecting probably a 95, but then his run really does turn, and it turns for the better. So you could trade him in now, but I wouldn't be too worried to potentially trade him in next week, because the run just absolutely turns. Like, he's got Richmond, Collingwood, they're also resting their guys as well. So they might even give a rest to the likes of a Darcy Cameron and just play Mason Cox. Then he's got the bye. And then he's got the Eagles, Fremantle, and Carlton in the next couple of weeks. So yeah, I would be really looking at that and wondering if he's going to be the guy to look at, because his run just starts to become pretty damn good. But you could also just wait till after the bye potentially to grab him up, etc. I'm just thinking about the split between him and TDK and trying to maneuver that around, because a lot of people have that as well. So there's that one. And then I don't like the Josh Dacos trade-in. I haven't liked it throughout with a lot of the questions you guys have given me. But yeah, he's averaging 105 last 3. But his overall long run average, he doesn't really have the peaks to really show that he should be a top 6 defender. If you take out the 65 that he scored, he is averaging 686 across 7 games, which is an average of 98, which is still behind, even if you take out his lowest scoring game, because then you really should be appropriately taking out his highest game, which would then put him at, what's that, 560 odd in 6 games, which is still back to about an average of 94, 90, 95 again. So if you take out his 2 big scores, his peak, his min and max, he goes back to a 95 anyway. So yeah, you're pretty much getting what you're paying at a 93, 94 range, and he's priced at 935, which is basically on that money. I think one guy that could potentially look at is Jordan Dawson. He's looked so much better in the midfield when you don't have the likes of Matt Crouch in there. His efficiency definitely does go up, but they just look at him a lot more. The handballs are up a lot more as well. You can see that direct correlation basically to when Matt Crouch, I can almost tell you which games that Matt Crouch didn't play just on the basis of where his handball numbers are at. Matt Crouch played this game, all these games other than this 11 handball and this 14 handball game, where his kicks to handball ratio was about a 1 or a sort of 1.1, 1.2, rather than a 2 to 1 or in some cases upwards. The only game that really doesn't correlate is this game against North Melbourne, where he just didn't have a good game in general, but he did have the 8 handball. So it's the only game that I know Crouch played that I'm pretty confident Crouch played that Dawson didn't have a ridiculous kick to handball ratio. And it proves in the numbers as well. The theory and the stats line up. So Dawson with Crouch out for another 3 to 5 weeks could be really, really impactful if he's just getting a lot of the ball, as well as he sat a lot of the last quarter, like up forward and stuff like that. And so could easily play a more impactful game as well. Marrick's had, he actually hasn't been that impactful in terms of fantasy. He's going at 76.5. His last 5 games, he's averaging 81. Last 3, he's averaging 85. He has a couple of down games and then has a peak game, so I'm not really interested in him. Josh Dunkley, understand why some people are looking at him. I just think that, he's a guy that if he can pick up just a little bit more of the just touches around the ball, like he's had 27, 23, 26, 30, 22, 21, 24, 26. The last couple of weeks since round 5, he's had only about low 20 touches per game. So will be interesting. That's when his sort of scores have dropped off a little bit, but he is still having a floor of 97 is still a really good floor, I would say. So I don't mind that. Ned Long, I think it's past the point where you can grab him in. I think his cash generation is going to start to slow. He has gotten up to 700k, which is a little bit annoying that he's getting 280k on the year. Well played to those that traded him in. And then Zach Merritt as well. He's just an absolute gun and will continue to do so. That Eagles game, I don't know what happened in it, but outside of that, he's been pretty much amazing throughout the year and is the 6th best player in terms of overall scoring. And that's pretty much it for trade-ins. I would expect that are at a decent amount. And then we just go to the trade-outs here. Davidson, obvious. I will be trading him out. Sanders as well. DeConing, that's interesting that people are trading him out as well. I understand that St Kilda is a decent enough matchup. But yeah, you probably should have traded him out if you were smart in the before round 8, as that Adelaide was a tough matchup. Should have jumped on the cherry train there. I will consider the DeConing trade out before my video goes live for you guys for my trades by the end of today, before the start of the round 9, And then pretty much everyone else. Clayton Oliver is a potential to still be out. We don't know exactly. Haven't seen any news around his return. But yeah, it was just great that he was sort of be able to call himself out for mental health. I think it's a step forward. And so hopefully he gets the help and is back to his best, as he's put up a better season. But yeah, hopefully he gets back and pulls up a ripper game against the Hawks sometime soon. Layla, understand that he's sort of hit the end of his cash generating. 60 break even is 555k. Same with Murphy Reed is 505k. End of their cash generation. Riley Bias is an interesting one that you could potentially move on. I'm looking at him potentially next week just because he has that capability of going sort of 90, 100. And so, yeah, I will be looking at him next week to trade out, as I don't think he's going to lose too much cash if he does end up not hitting his break even. Stone, understand that he didn't have the best game in the 2s and shouldn't probably be recalled. Caleb Daniel, I don't understand this unless there's news around him getting dropped. He's got a 102 break even. He's going 92 for the year. Yes, he's in a little bit of a form slump, but I have a feeling he has a bounce back game, just because I have a feeling Brisbane towel up North Melbourne. And then, yeah, pretty much everyone else here I understand to a certain degree. Caleb Sarong as well in the trade outs, just because he has been pretty poor throughout the last little bit, but I hope he can turn it around against Collingwood, as Collingwood don't have like half of their experienced players, so you would expect Freo to be able to do something. But anyway, that is the video there going through the AFL fantasy trade targets for round 9, going through the low break, even the high trade in, high trade out players. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be my Supercoach trade targets. And then you'll have my fantasy and Supercoach team reveals and my tipped for round 9, all coming out on Thursday as I try to catch up the videos before the round starts later tonight. So I'll see you guys in those videos later today. Bye, guys.